The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Noam Chomsky. Welcome back to the Dojo, the series where I teach the skills necessary to identify and protect yourself from gynocentrism and blue pill indoctrination. As a reminder, like the majority of my dojo videos, this installment's target audience is not just for men actively going their own way, but also for those blue-pilled men still romantically involved or interested in intimate relationships with women. Too often we're told opinions and conclusions that are misrepresented as facts. As listeners, if we make the mistake of believing that factually unsupported opinions or the misrepresented conclusions based on them are verified facts, we risk being manipulated and potentially irreparably harming innocent people as a direct result. Take the example of Emmett Till. This young black man was falsely accused of making sexual advances on a young white woman in the South. The woman lied and said that Till made advances toward her. As a result, a group of men went to Till's home, kidnapped him, then tortured and killed him. Had these men focused on the verifiable facts, rather than believe this woman's story at face value, Emmett Till may have lived a full life, and those responsible for his death wouldn't have become the monsters they thought they were fighting against. While this is a notable historical example, it's certainly far from the only one. There's numerous true stories of those who believe the misrepresentations sold to them because they adopted the unsupported opinions from someone who was either extremely ignorant or who had a malicious ulterior motive. While this presentation will provide only the most general of overviews, it should provide enough of a primer to help identify the difference between a personal opinion and the misrepresented conclusions based on it, and verifiable facts. With that out of the way, let's get started, but first, let's define some terms. What is a verifiable fact? Well, according to dictionary.com, a fact is, in pertinent part, something that actually exists, reality, truth, something known to exist or to have happened. A truth by actual experience or observation, something known to be true. Further, according to dictionary.com, the word verify is defined in pertinent part as to prove the truth of, as by evidence or testimony, confirm, substantiate, to ascertain the truth or correctness of, as by examination, research, or comparison. So a verifiable fact is a reality or truth substantiated or confirmed by evidence to be the reality or true. So what about opinions? The Oxford English Living Dictionary defines an opinion in pertinent part as a view or judgment formed about something not necessarily based on fact or knowledge, a statement of advice by an expert on a professional matter. The term baseless is defined simply by the Cambridge Dictionary as without supporting facts. So, a baseless opinion is one that is formed without any factual support. So to reiterate, a verifiable fact is one that can be substantiated, whereas a baseless opinion is one that has no factual basis. Sadly, too many people take what they hear at face value and consider it the truth without doing any kind of verification or confirming the facts for themselves. One of the best ways to test whether or not what you're being told is a fact or a baseless opinion is to ask the following 3 questions. Can the statement be proved or demonstrated to be true? Can the statement be observed in practice or operation? Can the statement be verified by witnesses, manuscripts, or documents? Further, when attempting to verify witnesses, manuscripts, documents, or other evidence, the more independent the source, the more likely the statement is to be factually true. Also, when determining whether something is a fact or an opinion, it's important to critically and objectively evaluate the following with care. Evaluate the details as fact or opinion in the correct context. Evaluate the context of the author or the speaker of the statement. Evaluate the context of the source being cited. Then, once you finish your evaluation, Reconcile the context of the source with the context of the author or speaker of the statement to ensure the speaker isn't taking the source out of context. This is especially important because oftentimes a speaker or presenter will make truthful statements out of context for the purpose of fomenting a false narrative. Just as importantly, when considering whether a statement is factual or an opinion, we all need to evaluate whether or not the presenter is exhibiting confirmation bias. Further, we should also consider our own potential confirmation bias as well. What is confirmation bias? Well, the Encyclopedia Britannica defines it as follows. Confirmation bias, the tendency to process information by looking for or interpreting information that is consistent with one's existing beliefs. This biased approach to decision-making is largely unintentional and often results in ignoring inconsistent information. Existing beliefs can include one's expectations in a given situation and predictions about a particular outcome. People are especially likely to process information to support their own beliefs when the issue is highly important or self-relevant. Unfortunately, nearly everyone is prone to some confirmation bias because of a combination of in-group bias and because we, as humans, are tribal in nature. Further, objectively evaluating evidence requires a lot of mental energy. So, we're prone to taking shortcuts during the decision-making process, which is sometimes required, especially if we're under social pressure or stress caused by time limits placed on the decision-making process itself. Those suffering from confirmation bias are prone to give more credibility to information that supports their preferred conclusion rather than the conclusion that's supported by independently verifiable facts or objective observable reality. People who don't consider that they can be vulnerable to confirmation bias are the ones most likely to suffer from it. Confirmation bias is a hallmark of being blue pill. A good example of this is from the Farnham Street blog article, Confirmation Bias, Why You Should Seek Out Disconfirming Evidence. In it, they talk about a Stanford study as follows. Half the participants were in favor of capital punishment, and the other half were opposed to it. Both groups read details of the same two fictional studies. Half the participants were told that one study supported the deterrent effect of capital punishment, and the other study opposed it. The other participants read the inverse information. At the conclusion of the study, the majority of participants stuck to their original views, pointing to the data that supported it and discarding that which did not. So as you can see, through a combination of persuasion and our own confirmation bias, our judgment can be completely compromised. Further, the greater the confirmation bias, the more likely the listener will be persuaded to the presenter's view. Even worse, those who are persuaded to adopt factually unsupported opinions as facts are oftentimes recruited to be the presenter's useful idiots. These idiots are then used as pawns to witch hunt and persecute those the presenter targets as enemies. Often, this can destroy an innocent person's social standing, especially in the case of a false rape or sexual assault allegation. In my book, The Feminist Lie, in Chapter 5, I document multiple cases where false allegations and factually unsupported opinions led to the death of many innocent men. Then, of course, we have our example from earlier, Emmett Till. Even in YouTube and other social media communities, we've all seen innocent people wrongfully targeted and harassed by those spreading lies to their viewers who, in turn, wrongfully believe their factually unsupported statements, and then these useful idiots proceed to witch hunt innocent people. The targets of these witch hunts include, but are not limited to, Turd Flinging Monkey, Barbarossa, Terrence Popp, myself, and many others. So at the end of the day, my suggestion is that no one should trust anything anyone else says unless it can be factually verified. If a statement cannot be verified, it shouldn't be trusted, period, regardless of who says it. This is especially true in committed romantic relationships. Oftentimes, we take our loved ones at face value without verifying what they say, which, in this feminist-created promiscuity culture, is a recipe for disaster. So if you take the unsupported opinions and accusations as verifiable facts, know that you're setting yourself up as someone's next useful idiot. This lesson is now concluded. If you've enjoyed this video, found it educational or insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so that hopefully you'll be notified when I upload new content. However, the best way to ensure you don't miss any of my content is to periodically check my channel. You can also support my work on Patreon. And in case I'm targeted by YouTube, I also mirror all my content on Bitchute. Further, you can always find me at misandrytoday.com, where you can contact me directly. You can also direct message me on Gab or Minds.com. All the links are in the description. I'm DDJ, and this has been your dose of Misandry Today.